Coming up on Sports Night.
Lacrosse hosted the Final Four this past weekend, seeking championship glory.
Baseball goes back to the drawing board as they reflect on the disappointing season.
Jack, it's late May, the birds are chirping, the flowers are blooming, and the only thing on my mind in the sports world is that NBA championship.
Definitely some scenes unfolding this season. Unfamiliar to the century, my Knicks gunning for that trophy, and Tony Brothers being on track to be the first referee to win the Western Conference MVP award.
Honestly, I'm surprised that the scheduled demolition of New York City has not occurred with that first finals berth since 1999. But yeah, it's been a rough couple of days for my Cavs after the beard got the broom. You can tell that I've been grimacing this whole time.
Yeah, I've definitely been seeing you as you've been trudging along towards this desk earlier tonight. But hey, so glad you made it out, right?
It was difficult to get out of my absolute rage for James Harden, but yes, I made it. Because if there's one thing that will lift my spirits, it's Sports Night right now.
Welcome to Sports Night. I'm Jack Murdock. Joining with me is Isaac Peng. I know the school year is winding down, but this is no time to get lax. Or I guess it is, because we're coming off hot off of an Evanston lacrosse championship weekend.
Absolutely. What a frenzy it's been for lacrosse, hosting the Final Four right here at the lakefront for the first time in NCAA history. With the Blue Jays, the Tar Heels, Terrapins, and Wildcats entering Martin Stadium, it was a fight to be the apex predator of this food chain. On Friday, the Cats geared up for some Final Four action against number 4 Johns Hopkins, led by seniors Madison Taylor and Maddie Epke, junior Taylor LaPointe, who combined for 21 total points. Northwestern defeated the Blue Jays by a final score of 16-11. Taylor led the way with 8 points, while Epke followed with 4 goals and 2 assists. LaPointe contributed a career high in assists in addition to her 2 goals of her own. Meanwhile, Kate Ranaprosa became the first Northwestern freshman since Madison Taylor in 2023 to score multiple goals in a championship weekend game. With the win over Johns Hopkins, the Cats advanced to their 4th straight NCAA championship game, a rematch of last year with number 2 UNC.
So it all came down to Sunday for the NCAA, the Women's Lacrosse Championship. Number 1 Northwestern facing off against number 2 North Carolina. And it was a razor-tight affair. Thanks to a pair of scores from Taylor LaPointe and Aditi Foster, Northwestern entered halftime level with North Carolina. But with 20 minutes to play, the Tar Heels led Northwestern 10-8 with the season on the line. First-year attacker Gabriella McAllister went on a tear, scoring 4 goals over the final 2 quarters. Madison Taylor pitching 6 assists and a final score to put the Cats on top. With that, Northwestern avenged last year's national championship defeat with a 14-11 victory over North Carolina. And to talk more about this Northwestern championship is our very own Brendan Preisman. Brendan, thank you for joining us in the studio. This game certainly turned on its heel, to say the least, in the 4th quarter. The Wildcats scored 5 unanswered goals to take control. Brendan, how would you explain this Tar Heel meltdown in the 4th?
Well, Jack, it's honestly a little odd what happened because it didn't feel like North Carolina was really being forced into that many mistakes. They were just making them. 7 turnovers in that 4th quarter. Only 3 of them were forced by Northwestern, meaning that Carolina was just kind of throwing the ball all over the field. And then also, Northwestern was working fast. They got a lot of stops, and they turned on them quickly. 4 of the 5 goals for the Wildcats in that 4th quarter came within 20 seconds of getting the ball past midfield. They were working quickly. Jenica Cuoco was on her A-game with 11 saves, including 2 big ones in the 4th quarter. And it really just was an excellent all-around effort at making sure the Tar Heels never got comfortable.
I think I can speak for all of us that nobody expected Gabriella McAllister to influence the game the way she did. What went right for her?
Well, what went right for her was it was a great team game, and that was truly the case with McAllister. Of her 4 goals, 3 were assisted, including 2 from Madison Taylor. And you can see that goal, an excellent solo shot, but a lot of them were just she was in the right place at the right time to finish the job, take care of the extra pass. And also, she wasn't scared of the moment. I talked about how North Carolina wasn't really comfortable at the end of the game, but Gabriella McAllister came in off the bench looking as comfortable as any player on that turf. You can see her beating the defense for a goal. Just an excellent game from the freshman. Shades of Madison Taylor herself, who had a hat trick her freshman year in a title game win, McAllister did Taylor one better with 4.
And Brendan, let's get this straight. It wasn't just the offense that was turning this game. Mary Carroll had a tremendous game working directly against Chloe Humphrey. How do you think she was able to keep up with the nation's best player?
Well, it's really interesting because for the most part, Carroll wasn't guarding Humphrey in the same way that Madison Taylor was being guarded by North Carolina's Sam Forrest. Taylor was being face guarded the whole time as soon as she crossed midfield. But Carroll was giving Humphrey a little bit more space, and that's because Humphrey's game is really predicated off of motion. It's about getting to those open lanes. So Carroll would give her space, but would be in the space where Humphrey wanted to go. You combine that with a great Northwestern zone defense that mucked up the passing lanes all game long, and Humphrey really was never able to put her best foot forward in this game. Mary Carroll made a statement, and that is that she is coming for the crown as one of the best defenders in the nation. There was one play with about 5 minutes to go in the third quarter where Humphrey was just driving on the baseline behind the goal, saw Carroll coming, and just kind of whipped a lazy pass to nobody that Hannah Rudolph picked off. That was the Mary Carroll effect right there. Humphrey just 2 goals, 2 assists on 11 shots. She never got comfortable, and that's because Mary Carroll had her in a straitjacket for most of this game.
And thank you, Brendan, for sticking with us throughout this entire year. A legendary season for yourself, just as it's been for the women's lacrosse team. An incredible year for Northwestern. We'll see what's coming next year.
This weekend's lacrosse Final Four in Evanston was the first time that the event was held in the Central Time Zone. Sammy Krimstein has more.
Northwestern head coach Kelly Amonte-Hiller has now won 9 national championships, but getting to do it here in Evanston was extra special.
I've never been in a situation where we've had the most fans. So to have the most fans, I know that was a huge asset to us. Their energy carried us, and I'm just so grateful for them all coming out.
With Evanston playing host this weekend, the Wildcat faithful gave Northwestern quite the boost. In Amonte-Hiller's 8 previous national championship victories, the Wildcats had to trek to the East Coast, playing to venues filled with fans of their opponents. On Lake Michigan this weekend, however, the bleachers were packed with purple, and the fans were loving it.
I'm feeling good.
Awesome.
Electric.
It's no secret that lacrosse is an East Coast-dominated sport. Northwestern is still the only non-East Coast team to win a national championship, and of the almost 150 players in town last weekend for the Final Four, over 83% were born on the East Coast. For Amonte-Hiller, having the event in the Midwest for the first time was monumental for the growth of lacrosse.
I am literally so grateful that Mark Jackson brought this to the Midwest for the first time, brought it to Northwestern. I really hope that today all those young kids in the stands get inspired to play at a really high level and just really dream about being on that field.
A huge national championship victory for Northwestern, an even bigger win for the sport of lacrosse. For NNN Sports, I'm Sammy Krimstein.
Thanks, Sammy. Coming up, we've got just enough time to soak in more of this championship.
My relationship with Giannis is unique. We're from the same country, we're from the same city. Being a Northwestern alum, I think, has tremendous advantages in the sports industry. To me, that community, it's been with me for 20 plus years.
Ready, set, Nano.
Welcome back to Sports Night. I'm on cloud 9 right now, being able to celebrate the second national championship my school has won since we've gotten here.
That's right, Isaac. With the field hockey trophy under our belt too, the niche sports fans just can't get enough of this lineup. If I'm guessing between if the 2016 Cavs ring meant more to Cleveland than this lacrosse trophy meant to Northwestern, I'm taking Lax all the way.
Okay, that's just blasphemous, but I think you are onto something with how much this championship means to the team, especially the seniors.
Thoughts of a potential dynasty are already popping up in the minds of many, but with cornerstone pieces on the championship making their anticipated exit, Gabby Egozi has more on how next year's team will shape up.
8,316 fans showed out here to the national championship game for what was Madison Taylor's final game in a Northwestern lacrosse uniform. And what an amazing time it was for her and her fellow Wildcats, closing out the season with a national championship.
I've just learned so much about myself and this team, and everything about this program fits me so well. So I'm just so grateful that I was able to come here and get this opportunity. It's literally been the best of my life, but this is the best way I could have ended it. So can't ask for anything more.
Maddie Taylor, the 3-time Tewaaraton Award finalist, has given everything and more to this Wildcat program. Here's Kelly Monty-Hiller talking a little bit on the recruiting process of Maddie Taylor and what it's meant to have her in a Wildcat jersey.
Both her parents are teachers from Long Island, and we just sold her that this experience could really change your life. Not just the lacrosse experience, but getting a degree at Northwestern, and to see, we knew when she committed that she had so much potential, but to see what she's done, not just in the games, but every single day at practice. She's a great teammate. Everybody loves her, and hardest worker in practice every day. Just so coachable, and it's just been a great honor to be a part of her life and to have her family in our lives.
Now, alongside Maddie Taylor, there have been so many seniors that have given their all to this program for not only this season, but the past 4 years. One of those seniors specifically was Lucy Monroe, who went down today with a knee injury early on in the first quarter and was not able to return. Maddie Taylor spoke a little bit on what her presence and friendship has meant to her.
She's just like my best friend, and to see her go down like that, definitely not the best. Is worst case scenario, honestly. But she was literally on the ground, and she literally was in so much pain, and she's just, Maddie, you got this. And I looked at her and said, okay, we're going to do this for you. And we did. That's what we're saying all game long, every huddle, every timeout. We're do it for the people who can't right now.
And although there are so many key pieces of this Northwestern squad leaving after this season, there's so much to be excited about for Wildcat faithful. Aditi Foster, Taylor LaPointe, big contributors this afternoon, and key returners for next season. Alongside them, Gabriella McAllister, the freshman who stepped onto the scene today. 4 goals for her. So a lot that happened this afternoon, and a lot to definitely be excited about. For Sports Night, I'm Gabby Egozi.
It was an incredible year, but it's never too early to look towards what the future holds. Even more so, who is the future? Matt Campbell has a preview of the next steps for women's lacrosse as they welcome new talent that will land on the roster next season.
Indeed I do. Thank you, good sir. Ladies and gentlemen, the conclusion of the 2026 season brings us to a crossroads here in Evanston. The answer to the question that Isaac just asked determines the direction Northwestern lacrosse goes in after winning the Natty. So let's try to answer that right here on Sports Night. Let's get some of the preliminaries out of the way, though. We need to know the shoes that need to be filled next season by the underclassmen, and they are pretty large, Bigfoot-like, if you may. Gabby already talked about some of the seniors, namely Madison Taylor right here, one of the best to ever do it. 2 rings, 2 Big Ten Attacker of the Year awards, and a shared NCAA record. 109 goals in a single season. She had 97 this year and another dominant season, but she couldn't do it without Maddie Epke dominating the draw. 82 draw controls as a secondary draw taker is quite impressive. She was the spark to a fast-paced offense. An offense that Annabelle Child was a critical part of in the Big Ten Tournament Championship game with 3 scores. Coming in from Harvard, she expected to be a defensive midfielder. Ended up being a two-way midi. Didn't matter. She still performed when called upon. You could say the same thing about Jenica Cuoco in between the pipes. The best goalkeeper in the nation, in my opinion. Cold-blooded under pressure. Not much else to say about this group. But before we move on, quick shout-out to Olivia Adamson and her stellar efforts through 12 starts. Awesome stuff. Unfortunately, her season was cut short by injury, but contributions from her were definitely felt by the Lake Show. But these seniors' time is up in here in Evanston. So that means a new leadership regime. Look no further than 2 players who exemplify consistent development to lead Northwestern into the future, Taylor LaPointe and Noelle Cumberland. The NCAA tournament was LaPointe's coming out party. She set career highs in points twice, 5 against Colorado, then she comes back for 7 against Johns Hopkins in the Final Four. Her 2024 season turned a lot of heads as she went from great bench piece to cornerstone starter on the attack. She'll be an important goal scorer for Kelly Monty-Hiller next year. It would be fair to see this ascension coming from the horizon, but if you told me the same thing about Noelle Cumberland, that you saw this ascension coming, you'd be lying to yourself. She was quiet in the midfield in her 18 appearances in 2025, but 2026, different story. She was wreaking havoc for Northwestern, causing turnovers, scrapping for ground balls, and sometimes taking matters into her own hands in the offensive zone. I'm excited to see how she carries that into the next season. So those are our leaders. And who's behind them? Well, let's look at the rising juniors, of course. Not much explanation needed here. These are all superstars, but we'll go down the line quickly, starting with Aditi Foster, Northwestern's primary option in the fan next season. No question. Northwestern's second leading scorer was a crafty left-handed stick on the right side of the arc. A look many Big Ten teams had some trouble adjusting to on the flank this year. I think she expands her game in the offseason and comes back with an even larger toolkit next February. And speaking of tools, Maddie Smith has a ton of them in her arsenal, not only as Northwestern's primary draw taker, but as a defender. Oh my gosh. I think back to the end of regulation in the Big Ten tournament title game, where she picks off a pass in the defensive zone to give Northwestern the last possession of regulation. Plays like that are what separate her from most midfielders in the country. And when you talk about elite defense, the defense that Maddie Smith brings, Mary Carroll is the blueprint for said elite defense. She has jumped from protege of Jane Hansen her freshman season to be the leader of a youthful defense in her sophomore year and has thrived in that role so far. While Hannah Rudolph has been a protege in her own right under the tutelage of Annabelle Child in the midfield, I would watch for those two to become threats, Carroll on the defensive end and Rudolph on the attack next season. We're almost done. We're wrapping up. Let's think long-term now. Who is going to carry the torch for years to come? 3 answers for you. Kate Ratana-Pruxa, Mackenzie Brown, and Gabby McAllister. The latter of the 3 having a breakout game at the best possible time. 4 goals in a national championship in front of a Lake Show crowd. Over 8,000 folks came out to see Gabby McAllister go off. There is nothing better than that. As for the other 2, Ratana-Pruxa, you might as well rename her last name. You call her Ratana Wrecking Ball at this point. She will go crazy on the draw control, put the ball in the back of the net, and then go apply pressure on the defensive end and cause a turnover the very next possession. She does it all on the field. And Mackenzie Brown, savvy defender, well beyond her years, high IQ, will carry all 3 of these Wildcats far into the future, which right now might seem a little uncertain to Cats faithful, but with time, that uncertainty, in my opinion, will be washed away by a Lake Show tsunami led by the young core of this Northwestern team. Jack, Isaac, back to you.
Thanks, Matt. With lacrosse craze settling down, we'll come back to sunny and clear skies to talk about a sport we haven't checked up in a while, baseball.
Trying to work my way out of the prison system was the most difficult challenge of my life. It only became tangible once I became a Northwestern student.
One, two, three, four.
My relationship with Giannis is unique. We're from the same country, we're from the same city. Being a Northwestern alum, I think, has tremendous advantages in the sports industry. To me, that community, it's been with me for 20 plus years.
And welcome back to our cozy studio here in Evanston. The D1 Men's College World Series is coming around the corner, but the Wildcats are already making their way down memory lane for this season, as this walk around the diamond certainly won't be considered a gem.
Jack, it really is a shame to see Northwestern absent from the postseason. If only they took Sammy Crimstein's segment to heart from a couple weeks back to manifest their path to possible collegiate greatness, but what success are they able to boast after this season?
Well, you heard it already here, folks. With regional rounds in the D1 World Series starting tomorrow, 64 teams vie for the championship, and the Cats can only watch the rest compete, like you and me, from home. A 21-30-1 record only got them so far, finishing at the bottom of the Big Ten division, being met with a failure to advance to the conference tournament and subsequent postseason play. The Wildcats this season now collecting some dust, but it's now time to blow it off and crack open the lid on their final regular season series against Rutgers, which was played 2 weeks ago. Game 1 of the final series of the season on a rare Thursday night. We pick it up in the top of the 7th. Rutgers leads 6-4. Chase Cruson drives one down the left field line for a base hit. 2-run score. It's a double for Cruson, and Rutgers will win in Game 1 at a nice 8-5. Now Game 2, bottom of the 7th, tied at 6. Nick Barron up to the plate, and he blasts one deep left center. It's gone for a solo home run. A Barron bomb is the game winner for Northwestern, as the Cats even the series at 7-6 for the final. Now time for a Saturday rubber match, top of the 9th. Rutgers up 11-7, and here comes Chase Cruson again. Drives to the left field, and it's just over the wall for a 3-run shot. Rutgers takes the series with the Game 3 win, 15-9 as the final. Well, that was an unsatisfactory season coming to a close. It's guaranteed that there were certainly some flaws within the team that gave those results. Now, to get the scoop behind it, join with me at the desk is our well-respected baseball analyst. I'm just kidding. He's always been here. It's Isaac. Isaac, good to have you here again. And with the season coming to a pitiful end, what do you think was the big issue, or the biggest issue, contributing to Wildcats' lack of success?
Well, Jack, the pitching was an absolute disaster. Expectations weren't high, but coming into this season, there were hopes that Ben Greenspan's leadership could pave the way for some younger names to get some much-needed experience. However, the numbers were just about as bad as last year, with the Cats at the bottom of the totem pole with respect to strikeouts and batting average against. The issue, unfortunately, seems to stem from simply a lack of talent, and I don't think that's going to be something that can be remedied in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty depressing to think about, with, you know, the ceiling for the Cats season being the championship, but the floor seemed to be at least making it to the Big Ten championship. Isaac, with the way the season has gone, what do you think we could look forward to in the next season as a bright spot?
Well, among an incredibly lackluster group, Nick Barron stands out as a freshman with lots of potential. He's proven himself to be someone who can take the step up and take on big moments, as he did with his second career home run against Boston College, which fired up a 3-run comeback, as well as his go-ahead RBI double against USC back in March. There's definitely some flashes of talent in Barron, and talent is what the Cats desperately need.
Thank you, Isaac, and we're eager to see how Barron and the Wildcats will do next year. Out on the golf course, the women's golf season came to an end on Monday at the NCAA Championship, placing 14th out of the 30 attending teams. Northwestern came into the season ranked 9th after staving off Stanford in a spectacular run to a national championship. This weekend, the Cats took to the Omni Lacrosse Resort in Carlsbad, California. Senior Diana Lee led the squad, carding rounds of par or better in her final 3 rounds in a purple polo. Individually, Lee birdied the 18th in her last round, propelling her to an overall finish of 1 under, giving her a share of 18th place. The junior Ashley Young was the second highest finishing Wildcat, tying for 53rd with her +4 final score, including a 3 under 69 to kick off the weekend. The Cats climbed the rankings on the last day en route to their 14th place finish. And by the end of the weekend, Northwestern had beaten out 8 top 25 ranked teams and 3 top 10 ranked teams, including number 6 Texas A&M. 6-time Big Ten Coach of the Year Emily Fletcher will look for another strong year next year.
When we come back, we've been on a streak since the first show, and I can't believe there's only one more after this. It's Plays of the Week.
I'm Kelly McEvers, founding host of the NPR podcast Embedded.
I'm James Edwards, host of the Unresolved podcast from Frontline.
I'm Antonia Cereijido, former senior producer of Anything for Selena podcast and current executive producer at LAS Studios.
My narrative, since I've been locked up and kind of made my transition, has been like redemption, accountability.
When I come into the classroom environment, every individual that sits amongst me takes education seriously.
My relationship with Giannis is unique. We're from the same country, we're from the same city. Being a Northwestern alum, I think, has tremendous advantages in the sports industry. To me, that community, it's been with me for 20 plus years.
And a warm welcome back for the last time of the night. Isaac, it's been a pleasure sharing the desk with you all of the way down. And while we've had some moments up here, it's time to give the spotlight to our Wildcat athletes.
So without further ado, let's roll Plays of the Week.
Big week for women's lacrosse. We have to give you a look at some of the top scorers. At number 3, a Wildcats down in the 4th, Gabriella McAllister scores to even it. The freshman had 4 goals after the Lucy Monroe injury. Her teammates loved it, and the fans loved it even more.
Play number 2, tied at 11 in the 4th. Wildcats charging, and Aditi Foster puts Northwestern ahead. It would be the game-winning goal for the Cats and Foster's 3rd of the game.
And the number 1 play of the week, it has to be the program legend Maddie Taylor scoring to put the game to bed. Taylor had a goal and 6 assists in the finals as Northwestern took home the title. And that's the signal, Isaac. I think that just about does it for tonight's show.
I believe so, Jack. For everyone tuning in, make sure to follow us on Instagram at NNN_sports and on X at NNN Sports for everything Northwestern sports.
It's been a blast hosting the show with you, Isaac, and I hope this distracted you just a little bit from your postseason depression with the Cavs. But when my Knicks get that taste of being on top of the NBA world, Taking a page out of lacrosse's team book, I'm staying lax.
It'll definitely be a little while until I'm fully recovered from that Cavs sweep, but I have to say Sports Night is about as good of a medicine as you can get. For Jack Murdock, I'm Isaac Peng. Have a good night.